So the lesson today is called Distributive Property. And before we start, I'm going to show you why we need distributive property. In 6th grade, you guys learned order of operations, yes? What was it called? PEMDAS, right? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, okay? Y'all don't have to write this. What I want to show you is why you need to know distributive property in algebra. So in 6th grade, you learned that if you're going to multiply 2 by 3 plus 2, the first thing you have to do is what? The parentheses. You got to add 3 plus 2, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So I would have 2 times 5, which is 10. Now, why do we need to know distributive property? Look at the first example. Why can you not do parentheses first? It's not a number that we can do, it's a variable. So what is distributive property and why do we need it? Distributive property says that if you're multiplying something by what's in parentheses, so y'all agree that's the same problem, yes? You can distribute what is on the outside to everything on the inside by multiplication. So basically this is saying 2 times everything in parentheses. So 2 times 3 plus 2 times 2. Okay, I'm going to show y'all. 2 times 3 plus 2 times 2. What did I do? I distributed the 2 to everything in parentheses. Are we okay? To distribute means to give out. So I gave the 2 out to everything in parentheses. Now I just multiply. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 2 times 2 is? Did I get the same answer? Yes. So why do we need distributive property? Why didn't my 6th grade teacher teach me this? Because in 6th grade, PEMDAS always worked. So there was no need for you to know distributive property. But in algebra, PEMDAS won't work if there's a variable in the parentheses because you don't know what it is. Do y'all understand why we need to know it? Okay, so that's how distributive property works. So I'm going to show y'all what it looks like. If you have, write this down, A times, open parentheses, B plus C. That is basically saying that A needs to be distributed to everything in the parentheses, yes? So this would be A times B plus, what would I write for the next one? A times C. So there's just different ways that we can write it to get rid of the parentheses. Now, is there anything else I could do? No, because I don't know what A, B, or C is. Are we okay? If you have a minus on the inside, there's 2 ways you could handle it. You could do keep, change, change. Or you could just distribute it as a subtraction sign. So let's look at it. If I have A times B minus C, this would be the same thing as A times B. But instead of a plus sign, what would I have? Minus A times C. Distributive property is really, really easy. The only time it can get confusing is when there's double negatives. Okay, so another way you could handle this, I'm going to come over here and write it, is if I have this same problem, A times B minus C, I could keep, change, change in the parentheses so that I don't get confused. And that is the same thing as A times B plus, what is A times negative C? Negative AC. You would just put the negative in front, basically. Okay? These two things are the same. Do y'all agree? A minus is the same thing as a plus negative. Now, when we're first learning this, I am going to make you do it this way. And the reason is is that when there's double negatives, it gets confusing. So if you do it this way, you won't get confused. Once you get really good at it and you can see it, then I'm not going to make you keep doing it that way. I'll just let you do it how you see it, as long as you're getting the correct answer. Okay? All right, let's get started. So we're not going to solve anything today. We are just going to simplify the expression by using distributive property. Okay? So you're not going to have an answer like 10. You're going to have an expression that is simplified. All right, let's look at the first example. What are we going to distribute? 4. 4 needs to be distributed to everything in parentheses. So I'm going to draw arrows and say, hey, 4 needs to be multiplied by y, and 4 needs to be multiplied by 3. Four times y is 4y. I'm going to keep my plus sign. Everybody understand? And I'm going to distribute 4 times 3 is 12. And I am done. There is nothing else I can do. Why? These are not like terms. Do y'all agree? So I can't combine them. So I leave it alone. I'm done. That is my simplified expression. Now, where do students mess up on this? They get in a hurry. They do 4 times y, and then here's what they do wrong. They see this plus sign, and they say, oh, 4 plus 3 is 7. You see what I'm saying? You're not going to add them. 4 is being multiplied by everything in parentheses. So don't make that mistake that I see some students, they just get in a hurry and do that. All right, I want you to try this one on your own. Okay, you should have distributed 3 to x and 3 to 5. 3 times x is 3x plus 3 times 5 is? Can you combine anything that are like terms? No, so you are finished. Now, this next one's a special problem. You are going to distribute the negative to everything in parentheses. It's basically saying -1 times everything. They just didn't put the 1. So this negative is going to get distributed to everything. But here's the problem. Students get confused when there is a minus sign in parentheses because a negative times a negative should be a. So I want you to, until we get really good at this, I want you, anytime there's a minus sign in the parentheses, I want you to change. So we're going to change. So now we're going to distribute a negative to this x. So it's simply negative x. Could I put -1x? Because 1 times x is x. So yes, you could put a 1. You don't have to. I'm just going to put -x. Plus, what is a negative distributed to a -4? A +4. And then you're done. But do you see how if I would have left that a minus sign, it might have confused me? Okay? Look at the next one. Do you need to deal with anything in the parentheses first? Yes. What do I need to do? Change. So I'm going to change. So what did it actually become? A +2. So I'm just going to rewrite it. Negative and then y plus 2. Now I can go distribute the negative sign. Okay, so the negative is going to go to the y, and the negative is going to go to the 2. So I have negative y plus negative 2. How else could I have written my answer? Negative y, instead of plus negative 2, what could I have written? Minus 2. Are those the same answer? Yes, and I'm fine with either answer. Okay, let's try the next one. I'm going to have you try this one on your own, but before you do it, I want you to deal with these parentheses. What are you going to do with this minus sign before you do anything? Change. Now I want you to go, oh, y'all don't know how to distribute an n times an n. I'll show y'all. That's a whole nother lesson, so I'll do this one with you. N times n and n times negative 9. Okay, I'm going to give you all a hint. If I do 5 times 5, it's 25, right? What's another way I could write that? 5 to the power of 2. Because 5 times 5 is 5 squared. Do y'all agree? So how would I write n times n? N squared. So that's n squared. And yes, that's a whole other lesson that we're going to learn. But I figured y'all are smart enough to know that. Then put a plus sign. What is n times negative 9? You're correct, but it's not the way we write it in algebra. What do we always put first in algebra? We put the number first and the variable second. Okay, so you would just put negative 9n. And I will explain why. In algebra, this is a whole nother lesson too. Anytime you have an expression, the number is called a coefficient of a variable. So yes, this is 9 times x, and writing it like this would still be x times 9, which we learned would have the same answer, yes? But this would be the correct way to write it in algebra. Always the coefficient first, and then the variables. Make sense? Okay, so that's my answer. Give me another way I could have written this. N squared minus 9n. Are those the same answer? Yes. Now what's different about this one? The parentheses are first and then multiplied by a y. Does it mean anything different? No. All you're going to do is distribute everything in the parentheses times y, because this is saying y needs to be multiplied by everything in parentheses. So y times y and y times 7. What did we learn? Y times y would be y squared plus y times 7. What would be the correct way to write that? 7y. Perfect. Okay, let's look at the next one. On this one, I am going to distribute 2y to everything in parentheses. So I'm going to multiply 2y times y and 2y times 3. What is 2y times y? 2y squared. 2y squared. And your assignment's not going to be this challenging, I don't think. Let me look at it. There's like one that looks like that. Okay? Plus, what is 2y times 3?
6y.
6. 2 times 3 is 6, and then keep your y. And then you're done. Okay, this next one's a little challenging. Look right here at the second parentheses. Do you see a minus sign in the middle? So what do I need to do first? Change. So I'm going to change. What am I going to distribute to everything? Negative 3y. So I'm going to do negative 3y times 5 and negative 3y times negative y. What is negative 3y times 5? Negative 15y. So you basically just multiply the numbers together and then just keep the variable. Okay, so negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. Keep the y. Plus, what is, now why did we learn our integer rules yesterday? Because my calculator's not going to do this one for me. What is a negative times a negative? So I just don't even worry about it. I'm going to get a positive. What's 3y times y? 3y squared. Very good. Now this next one's going to have an extra step. It's not hard. It's going to have an extra step on it. All right. What are we distributing and to where? 2 is going to go to everything in parentheses. Does this plus 5 have anything to do with that? No. So I'm going to deal with it after I distribute. Okay? So I'm going to do 2 times x, and I'm going to do 2 times 9. Does the 2 get distributed to the 5? No. What's 2 times x? Plus, what's 2 times 9? 18. Then I write plus 5. Now, is that expression simplified the simplest you can get it? Why not? You can combine like terms. What is a like? 18 plus 5 are both regular numbers that you can add together. So I'm going to have 2x, and then what is 18 plus 5? 23. Okay, let's go to the bottom. What's the first thing I need to deal with before I start? The subtraction sign in parentheses need to be change. So change. Do y'all want to try this one on your own? Okay, go. Check and see how you're doing. Look at the first step. Did you do that part correctly? Can I combine anything? 8a plus a. Now question. What kind of coefficient, coefficient's a number in front of a variable, would an a have? A 1. We don't have to write it because 1 times a is a. But this has a coefficient of a 1. Okay? What is 8a plus a? No, we're not multiplying a times a. It would be 9a. You're adding 8a, so like 8 cats plus a cat. I have 9 cats. If you ever need to, put that coefficient of 1 and you'll see 8a plus 1a is 9a. So 9a plus negative 2, or I could put minus 2. Same answer. Okay, try this one on your own. I did the first step if you want to check it before you go on. Okay, did everybody get the first step right? Can I combine anything? Notice I underlined them, yes? What is 10x plus an x? 11x. So I have 11x plus, what's 15 plus 4? 19. Very good. All right, this last one's a little challenging, but before you start, what is the first thing you have to deal with? In the parentheses, I don't want any subtraction sign. I'm fine with negatives, but I can't have a subtraction sign. So the first thing I'm going to do is change. So it all became plus positive, yes? All right, I'm going to distribute the negative 4 to the negative 2x and the negative 4 to the positive 2. What is negative 4 times negative 2x? Positive 8x. Plus, what is negative 4 times positive 2? Negative 8. Plus, negative x. Now, question. Does this x have a coefficient? Yes. What is it? A negative 1. If it helps you to see it, put it there. So I can combine 8x plus negative 1x. What is 8 plus negative 1? 7x. And then I just keep this. So I can either put plus negative 8 or I could put minus 8. You choose the way you want to write it. It does not matter. So now we're going to talk about that vocabulary we just learned. So flip to the back. I'm going to go really quick on this. I already wrote it out for you. What did I say a coefficient is? The number in front of a variable. A constant is a number by itself. So right here, that's a constant. You'll see it, minus 8. What's this? A constant, okay? Terms, we learned this the other day. A term is a single number or variable, or numbers and variables multiplied together. They are separated by addition and subtraction signs. And y'all learned this the other day. And then like terms, y'all learned this the other day. They have to have the same variable or no variable at all. All right, so we're going to fill in the vocabulary using this example. What are the coefficients? What is a coefficient? A number in front of a... So what is the coefficient here? Negative 1. Is there another coefficient? What is it? So put a comma, 2. Is this a coefficient? No, because it's not attached to a variable. All right, are there any constants? 8. Now here's the easy part, but people get confused. Remember, a term, terms are separated by plus and minus signs. How many terms do you see? 1, skip that. 2, skip that. 3, those are terms. Yes? Terms are put together by multiplication or division. So this is put together by what? Multiplication. But they are separated by addition and subtraction signs. So this is a term, this is a term, this is a term. So you would write those terms out. So my terms are negative 1x, comma, what's the next one? 2x, comma, what's the last one? 8. Are there any like terms? So I would write negative 1x and 2x. They go together, meaning I could combine them. Now, I want you to do this last one on your own, but stop. Here's where you're going to make a mistake. This is a subtraction sign, isn't it? But what kind of value does that 4 hold if that subtraction sign's in front of it? That is not a positive 4, is it? What kind of value does that 4 have? So what I want you to do before you answer these is get rid of any subtraction signs and change. So go do change, 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 change. And that will make sure you get them all right. All right, go answer this super quick. What did I not include in the coefficient answer? Correct, but what else? Did I put the x with them? If you do on your assignment, will you get it counted correctly? No, a coefficient does not include the variable. It is the number in front of the variable. So don't include the x. Does everybody understand? All right, did everybody get that right? The constants, what are the constants? -4 and +2. How many terms were there? 4. This one, this one, this one, and this one. So you should have written 3x, comma, -4, comma, -6, x, comma, 2. A term does include the x if there's an x there. And the last one, what are the like terms? 3x and -6x. And then what's the other one? -4 and 2. You are going to do this on your assignment tonight. And you need to answer it. Guys, use your notes. If I did not put an x for a coefficient, then you don't. Make sense? All right, we have one more example. We're only going to do one of these right here. We're not going to do the bottom one. Okay, it says, here's a word problem that includes variables. Find the perimeter and the area of the rectangle below. Now, you're not going to have an answer like, oh, the perimeter's 10, because there's variables and we're not going to solve them. Does everybody understand? Okay. Perimeter. How do you find perimeter of a rectangle? Good. Add up all the sides. So length plus width plus width. Do y'all agree? Or could I do 2 times length plus 2 times width? Okay, so there's my formula. Do y'all agree? Length plus length is 2 times length, and width plus width is 2 times width. Okay, here we go. The length is 8 minus 12w. I need to multiply that by what? So should I put parentheses around it to multiply 2 by everything in the parentheses? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to do for perimeter 2 times this length, 8 minus 12w. What's the next part of the formula say? Plus 2 times the width. Plus 2 times, what is the width? Guys, what's the width? 9. Do y'all understand where I got these numbers from? This is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. I just plugged in what they gave me for length and width. Can I now do what I just taught you? Distributive property. What do I need to do first right here? Change, change. All right, here we go. 2 times 8 is 16 plus 2 times -12w. -24w plus, what's 2 times 9? 18. Are there any like terms that I can combine? 18 and? Correct. That's all I can combine. 18 plus 16 is? So the perimeter is -24w plus, y'all said it's what, 34? Plus 34. That's the perimeter. I can't solve anything else. I can just simplify the expression. Question.
Could you 34 minus 24W?
Yep. Could you have written 34 minus 24W? Yes. Okay, last part. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Length times width. So I'm just going to multiply these two things together. Do y'all agree? Do I need those parentheses? Yes, because I'm going to multiply 9 times everything in parentheses. Yes? So 9, let me separate this, times 8 minus 12W. What's the first thing I got to deal with? Change. 9 times 8 is 72. Plus 9 times negative 12 is? Yep, negative 108. But what do I have to have attached to it? A W. Can I do anything else with that? So that's your area. You're going to have to get used to, in algebra, not having a final answer of a just blanket number like 52. It's going to have variables. It's going to be expressions. Okay, let me pass out your assignment and give directions. On 1 through 9, you're just going to distribute and simplify it. What are you going to do if you see a subtraction sign in parentheses? So which one? Number 5, you need to change. Number what? Number 2, I skipped that one. Yep. What else? 7. What's the last one you need to change on? 8. On 10 through 13, you can skip it right here. You don't have to put any answers. Where does it say to go? To the back. So I wrote it out for you. These are the ones where you're going to identify the term, the like term, the coefficient, and the constant. So we did this on the second page of your notes. Please use your notes. Okay? For coefficient, right here, put a star. Do not put an X in that answer. A coefficient does not include the X. It's just the number attached to the X. Okay? All right, go back to the front. Let's see. You can skip 25. That one's really long. And you're going to do 23 and 24. So just 1 through 24. Okay?